full-time before, but every year she comes back to give us her life experience and share her wisdom on current topics or anything that you have questions about. So I will let her introduce herself a little bit further, but we're lucky to have her today. Thank you.
Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you. And it's nice to see Yama and Yo-Yo and Sierra and new teacher. Oh, welcome. What is your name? Wow, nice to meet you. Yeah. Nice to see the Seattle. Always good to have Dhamma friends, because they understand these teachings that not a lot of people know about. And it's nice to always come back every year to share and to have some of these same values in common. Anyway, I would like, before I introduce myself, can we say Namo Tassa, Hey Holy Buddha? Namo Tassa Bhagavato Arahato Samma Sambuddhassa. Namo Tassa Bhagavato Arahato Samma Sambuddhassa. Namo Tassa Bhagavato Arahato Samma Sambuddhassa. So the whole week, how many days? Show me with your fingers. How many days have you been here studying already? All right. So you're learning about Samadhi, right? Is that the main theme? 5 days already. Wow, good for you. And so I'd like to know from you more. In the beginning, I'd like to know what you're learning and what you understand Samadhi, or right. Is it right understanding? Is that what it is? Okay, so I'd like to know from you what you've been learning, but first let me ask you your grades again. Your grades. So I don't know how old you are. How many of you are in elementary school? Okay, great. And how many of you are in middle school? And how many of you are in high school? Great. Well, there are a lot of high school students, huh? Mm-hmm. So, well, I'm a teacher, actually. I've been actually a teacher for a very long time, and I've worked with elementary, middle school, and high school students, so I really like teaching. I wanted to ask you what you understand right understanding to be. Can you raise your hand? Tell me. There's no wrong or right answer. We just want to discuss, because there are different ways to talk about it. Yes, please. Yes. Which are? How would you? That's a lot of teachings. How would you sum up the Buddhist teaching? Mm-hmm. Great. That's very important. And I heard Siamat reviewing with you the Four Noble Paths, right? 4 Noble Truths and the Eightfold Noble Path. Anyone else? How else might you consider right understanding? Is there any other way that you can talk about it? Yes. Mm-hmm. Uh-huh. Oh, it's a Buddhist view. Uh-huh. Right. There's a certain way of, the Buddhist teachings, basically, right? But let me ask you this. Just because someone tells you this is the right view, are you going to believe it? No? So how do you know it's the right view? How do you know that Four Noble Truths are correct. That there's suffering in the world, right? Which is often caused by, and that one can stop it. You can stop your suffering in your own way. How do you stop it? Yes? Yes. One of which is? Yes? Yes, that's one. Do you know any of the other the Eightfold Noble Path? Very good. Right understanding. Yes?
Right speech, right action, right livelihood, right effort, right mindfulness, right concentration, right understanding.
Oh dear, you've got all of them, huh? Great. So, yeah, some of the even the kind of living that you choose. So one where you don't kill and maim and harm, for example, or where you have to lie and break your 5 precepts. So even something simple as choosing the right kind of living is one of the paths to stopping suffering. Is it your own suffering, or is it a lot of people's suffering? Well, first and foremost, your own, right? So hopefully that would help other people. But how do you know that that is the right view? Just because the teachers teach you that? Is that makes it correct? Yeah. How many of you say yes, and just because the teachers here teach you that, you have to believe it? You believe it. Okay. Well, I want to share that the Buddha's teachings is so interesting because, yes, it is a right view, which is a view of the Buddha's teachings. However, these teachings can be proved. Did you know that? Someone doesn't have to tell you for you to believe it. You can actually see it in your own world, in your own life. Yes. Yes, you wanted to tell me something? Yeah. So that's the message I want you to get from my talk. That right understanding is about seeing the world as it really is. Reality. How many of you like science? Okay. Some of you like science. Well, scientists, right, start to understand things based on what? They start to get knowledge from doing what? Researching. What else? Testing. Very good. Research, experimenting, right? Seeing, observing. Resources. Getting resources. Very good. That's the wonderful thing about science is your science teacher doesn't have to tell you, hey, you got to believe in science. You can go out there and experiment and test and see. Okay? Well, the Buddha's teachings is the same thing. I want you to know that. It is very close to science in that you can test it, see it, observe it. And the Buddha often said the best laboratory is inside of us. Because we know how it feels to suffer. Okay? We know what causes it. After close observation. If you're not observing closely, you might not know. Just like a scientist. If you're not focused, if you don't have the right concentration, you might not know what causes things. Okay? So let's start with this. All of you have been through school, as I have, as in I taught K through 12 too. I want to ask you this. I want you to look around you, get into a group of about 4 students, okay? And just for about 5 minutes, I want you to discuss this. Name something scientific, okay, that has a cause. For example, I drove here today from East Bay. How many of you know where the East Bay is? How many of you have been to Hayward or Fremont, those areas? Is anyone from those areas? Who lives in Fremont?
I do.
Oh, who lives in Hayward? Or Castro Valley, Oakland?
Oakland.
Yeah, those are East Bay. Anyway, as I'm driving from there, I want to tell you a story. Can you listen for a moment before you talk to each other? Okay. When I was driving, it was still very bright in Hayward. And as I was coming across the San Mateo Bridge, it was still very, very sunny, and nobody had their headlights on, right? But as soon as I got into this, as soon as I finished coming off of the bridge, I started to see cars with headlights, and it was still very sunny.
What?
I started to see cars with headlights. Like, why did they turn on their headlight when it was still very bright and sunny? Right? And then do you know why? They were coming out of Half Moon Bay. Why do you think they had headlights on? Exactly. So it was like I was observing very closely. I said, I wonder why. I had a hypothesis. I said, maybe they have a different environment from where I came from. And so as I was driving down the narrow country roads, I started to see a lot of fog. And then I started to realize, well, that's important. I better have my headlights on too, right? So there was a cause for their turning on their headlight. They needed to see. And so they still had it on when their cars met mine. But also, what causes fog over here, but where I came from, there was nothing. It's like, as soon as you cross a line, there's sun, from sun to rolling fog. Yes? Yeah, why is that when you're closer to the ocean? Anybody like and does anybody like to study about weather?
No.
Why is it that when it's close to the ocean, it starts to get really foggy? Okay, one voice at a time, please. She's sharing. Yeah? Uh-huh. Is that why? It's the air molecules that are cooler. Does anybody know what causes rain?
Yes. Ocean.
Evaporation, right? And then have you ever heard of condensation? And then, well, fog is just the condensation, right, happening really close to the ground. And so instead of rain, we see fog. It's like pea soup. Okay. Anyway, there's a cause and an effect. I would like you to think about causes and effects. I'd like you to know this. If you can observe very closely how phenomena happen and what their causes and what their effects are, you already have the right view, the right understanding. Okay? So that's what I want you to understand. So let's start with one kind of causes and effects. Let's talk about something in nature or human physiology or whatever it is that you learn in science. When have you learned in science where there is a cause and an effect? Okay? It can be science. Let's talk about science first. Okay? So get into a group of 4, and in about three minutes, I'd like your one person in each group to share. Okay. Example of a cause and an effect. of your conversation. Turn around now. Thank you. Okay. So let's start with the elementary school students. I bet they have a lot of insights because I know they started studying science. So let's start with some young students. What about this group? Do you have a reporter who can tell us what you talked about? Okay, any volunteer? Any volunteers? Oh, yes, please. Well, I saw this young woman's, young girl's hands go up. You want to come here? Please. Yeah. Come over here. Okay, you can talk from there. Wait, hold on. Okay, listen to her, please. Without trees, we wouldn't be able to breathe. Why? What do trees do for us? Okay, well, this is very important. I'd like you to have one voice at a time because each of you is, provider of insight. So we learn from each other. Okay, listen to her. Yes.
Please provide oxygen.
So we breathe. We can breathe because there is oxygen. And oxygen comes from something, and she said the trees help provide that. Agreed? Okay, good. Anybody else? Let's start with someone we haven't talked with. Go over there. I'll be right with you. Yeah. Oh, you were just stretching. And why were you stretching? You're tired. Yeah. Yes. Another student. Oh, there's someone in the back. Raise your hand. Yes.
So the fire in the forest causes the animals to move out.
Well, if there is a fire, if you were an animal, you'd like to move out too, right? Okay. That sounds very logical. Yes. Okay, one more. Hold on. A couple more. Waiting for your attention before they talk. Okay. Everyone, you can turn around. Are you ready? Okay.
So when you mix glue and something that contains borax in it, it will still turn into like a sticky substance that is called slime, and then you cannot change it.
You cannot change it back.
Chemical reaction.
How many of you ever got to play with slime? So she's talking about how to make slime. And guess what? You know what, guys? You know what's really interesting insight she just said is once it becomes, what was it, borax and glue? She said once it becomes slime, you cannot turn it back. And you cannot change it into what it was before. Some people say you can. How do you change it back? Yes, please. One more student. Yes. Want to share a scientific insight? Global warming. How many of you heard of global warming? The way she wants to tell you. Hold on just a second. Okay, I'm gonna have to wait. Guys, please. I'd like her to hear you. So if you want, I would like you all to hear her too. So go ahead. What would you like to say? You can tell me and I can tell you. Go.
Something like that.
you just told me a series of causes that starts with burning fossil fuels and using a lot of plastic. How that causes CO2 to go up in the air and causes global warming with one chain reaction after another. How many of you heard of global warming? So now these are things that people have experimented, tested, seen, observed, measured. Okay. I would like you to be able to say something. Listen to him.
Phone gives you cancer.
What gives you cancer? Cell phones? Well, how come there are people laughing though? How do you know it doesn't? How come you're laughing at him? Some scientists say there's a correlation. They don't say it's a cause, but you know what a correlation is? They can't prove it, but every time, so they've had some studies where that happens. Okay, one more, and just two more. Here one, and here's another one. Okay, go ahead.
So in nuclear fission, a proton will split a molecule of uranium into 5 separate molecules, which will go off and split more molecules. And this will either cause a nuclear detonation or provide clean energy for hundreds of homes. Disarm nuclear weapons, come on.
All right, thank you for that observation. And one more here. Okay, all right, last one. Very interesting insight. Okay, when you put sugar into coffee and mix, what happens to the sugar almost always? All right, you know what? And how many of you have observed that? Good. So do you see how there are things in the world that are observable, testable, and you can do experiments? Well, what about the Buddha's teachings? How many of you think you can observe it carefully and notice that these things are for real? How do you know? What about you? You haven't talked. How can you see karma? Yes. An example. Okay, wait. Now we're moving on to a different kind of conversation. This is no longer about the science class and science experiments that we're usually used to. But how do you notice karma in the world? What is the law? What is karma? Law of cause and effect, right?
Because Donald Trump, he's bombing places, and so not everybody thinks bad of him. And
Okay, so wait, everybody. So the topic was so he said, there are things that are observable, even karma, because he said, look, if you are bad-mouthing people and not treating people right, even if you're the leader of a country, that you might become unpopular. Did you see the poll numbers go down for the president? That's very measurable. Now the lowest poll numbers that any president has ever gotten at this time of the year. This time of the presidency. So, there's some things that really are observable, and thank goodness that we live in a world where people just don't make up things, and that you can observe and test and create. Not create your own ideas, but to construct truthful views that are based on observation and tests and experiments and science. So karma is observable, he says. So he's already jumped a few places, okay, in our talk. The next level I'd like you to talk about is, what about you? Let's talk about emotions and feelings. What causes those? How many of you felt sad? How many of you felt happy? What has caused those to happen to you? Okay? So I'd like you to get into the same groups and talk about feelings. Talk about, listen to me, my directions. Talk about a time when you, everybody listen first, please. Talk about a time when you, when somebody caused you to be happy. Let's talk about happiness. What did they do? What caused you to be happy? Made me happy by becoming really, really quiet so we can do the next step of our discussion. Thank you. Thank you, I appreciate that. So just raise your hand, it could be anybody. What has made you happy recently? In particular, think about people's actions. What did somebody, guys? Let's cut the private conversations. What has somebody done recently, either here or at home or at school or, that has made you happy, particularly satisfied and happy? Yes, you in red there.
I'm happy that my family took me to Hawaii for a vacation.
There you go. Cause and effect. Oops, hold on. There's more.
Someone gives you food.
Someone gives you food. Yes.
Someone spend it.
Absolutely. All right. One conversation at a time. So here is another person sharing. That makes you happy. But they didn't eat your food. Oh, goodness. Okay, she said sometimes other people end up eating her food, and it's nice when she finds out someone else didn't eat up her food. Okay. All right, what about you?
When I'm sad, someone comes up and cheers me up by telling me jokes.
How many of you like jokes? That's neat, jokes. She said jokes make her happy. People. Okay, so let's have that one more person. You haven't had a chance to talk. Okay, everybody, listen to him.
Obamacare makes me happy.
What about you?
When Trump became president.
That makes you happy, huh? Well, everybody listen. The nice thing is that when we live in a democracy where people can say what they want or feel what they want. When you have an idea too, are you happy when people let you talk? So I think we have to appreciate that, everybody, okay? You know what? You guys are very insightful. Did you want to share something too? Had a hand? Okay. So you're learning that emotions too are observable and you know kind of what caused it. When you feel something, you kind of know what caused it. I mean, you can't perhaps have a laboratory experiment about it, but you observed it. Somebody does something and immediately you feel something. And that laboratory is actually inside of you. When you're happy, how do you feel inside? How does your body feel? Relaxed, right? Sometimes warm, relaxed. You just feel good. You feel healthy inside even when you're happy. And when you're unhappy, it's all the opposite of that, right? So, now we've talked about what other people do. What about what you do? Okay? So I want to share with you a story about someone young that I ran across because I'm an educator, right? So she just recently shared with me a story that I'd like to tell you about. She said that, I thought this was really touching, because she comes from a very poor family, and I didn't know, that she lives in a housing project. Do you know what that is? It's a government subsidized housing, so her parents don't have a lot of money. They don't earn much from their work, even though they work. And so the government kind of helps them a little bit, because otherwise the child couldn't have food. Someone mentioned that food is important for their happiness. So she said, she was telling me recently that she volunteers at a food bank. Yeah, a food bank. You know what that is? Yes, so I asked, what does she do? And she said sometimes she's in an assembly line, and they pack different items onto trays to give to families who don't have a lot. She said sometimes, she's packing like oatmeal into cans to pack for people. Basically, she's helping to pack so they can ship things off. And she said it brings her a lot of satisfaction. She said it makes her very happy. And now this is not something someone is doing to her, but she's just very happy doing this. Then I asked her, I said, how do you get that happiness? Why does this bring you so much satisfaction? And do you know what she said? She said, can you guess?
Yes.
What? One hand over there. Yeah.
She gets good karma.
Well, she's not Buddhist. She doesn't know anything about karma. She doesn't know the word karma. This is important. Sometimes you might not know the word, but you might know the concept, even if you never went to school here. So there are such people because of their experience. Yes. She's helping people out. However, how does she know what she's doing is a good thing? Yes. Did you hear her? She said she's felt the pain before, this student, this person. She told me that she's gone hungry, her family, barely anything to eat, and the people who helped were the volunteers at the food bank. She said she used to get food from there. Yeah. So sometimes, there's something scientific about this because she knows how it feels in the laboratory of her body. She knows how it feels when somebody does something to her. She knows she can eat when somebody helps her family out. And so she knows that if she does it to somebody else, they would also be happy. Right. So it's that sort of observation that I want you to think about. Now, luckily, in the world, they don't all have to come to the monastery here to learn. Some people learn from experience. They may not know the word karma, but they know about the cause and the effect in the world, right? But that's good that you're learning more in depth here, because not everybody can articulate their own suffering. or know how to stop it, or know that there could be a brighter day. Because that's what the Four Noble Truths are. Nothing is the end of everything. I mean, as in, there's always changes. Even when you're sad, you can be happy. She's happy because now she made other people happy. Isn't that wonderful? When you're sad, you can make other people happy, right? Yeah. Oh, that's so insightful. Tell us how. Listen. Okay.
Sometimes when you make, sometimes when you feel, sometimes when I feel sad, my mom says I feel sad, and then if you're with a group of friends and then one person gets sad, everybody will start feeling sorry for them. So everybody in that group will feel sorry for them. So this is how, sometimes if you're sad, you can make other people sad.
And when you're aware, that's a good thing. When you're aware that you're making yourself and other people sad, can you stop it? Yeah, how will you stop it and turn it around? Yeah, sometimes it's as easy to say, but sometimes it's that. Maybe start with a joke, maybe not take it so heavily, right? Did you know that, so one of the, how many of you have been sad forever? I mean, how many of you often come out of being sad and found some happiness, you know? So another insight in the Buddhist teachings is that nothing is permanent. There's another way to say the Buddhist teachings and right understanding, which is, one is I've already talked about cause and effect, and observing it, understanding it, knowing it deep inside of your body, just knowing what it feels like. It's really important. And understanding the causes, okay? Cause and effect. But second is that for the Buddha, the person who is sad or happy is a very active person. You can make those changes. Okay? You know, just like a scientist putting different chemicals and changing the reaction of an experiment, you can change. You can change how things end up. As that young man said, it's karma. It's like knowing the consequences of your actions. That's karma. You know that if you're happy, everybody around you will be happy, that if you do good things, that good things will happen to people. That's right understanding. Okay? And that if you do bad things, or that if you're really sad, that the world around you might become really sad, that's also right understanding. So another way to look at it, cause and effect, but also these three ways, which is, have you heard of anesa? Dukkha, anesa, and anatta? Yeah. So one way is to understand that, suffering is something everybody will encounter at some point. Maybe because, like one person said, sometimes the food you want is gone. Or maybe you didn't have a vacation time, in the summer because everybody's busy and causes some suffering. Or, so there's bound to be suffering, okay? However, like all things, nothing lasts forever. So even unhappy feelings don't last forever. If you observe carefully, you observe your feelings inside, you will know that they come and they go, and so that nothing is, forever, right? It's the same as, so that's about feelings. And so if you are sad, it's good to know that it may not be there forever. Something else can change it around, and sometimes you're the person to change it around, okay? But also, people get really sad when, recently one of my pets passed away. We have these little rabbits that we've rescued from rescue shelters. And so, just last month, one of my rabbits passed away. It's nothing, I did everything. We went to the doctors, right? Paid for all the treatments, everything, but nothing could help her. The little little one. And also, so I was sad. And I knew the reason why I was sad. What was the reason? Yeah, and I could do nothing about it. I did everything I could. But now, several weeks have passed, and I'm feeling a little better. You know why? Because I try to put some right understanding into myself. I try to remember the right way to understand. Now the right way to understand, the wrong way would be that I would blame what would the wrong way be? What could make me still sad? Yes. I would blame the doctors. What else? Then I would be really mad, right? Angry. And then the doctors would be sad because I'd be pounding on their door. Okay, what else? What could I do that could make things continue to be sad for me? Yeah. I would tell them that I wasted my money. I would be sad that my money's gone, right? So there are all kinds of things, but also I might want my pet back, right? Can I have her back?
No.
She ever going to be alive again?
No.
I mean, for me? Not for me. She's not going to be my bunny again, right? So, right understanding is also knowing that sometimes the things that we love don't last. Everybody has to be ill and they all die one day, correct? Or even inanimate things, like a car that you love is not going to be a great car forever, right? So, right understanding is knowing that everything is not permanent and knowing how to deal with that. Mm-hmm. But also knowing, I think in this case, you know what else I had in mind? That I have suffering, that everybody can have suffering, and that she doesn't last forever, the bunny, but also that my sadness won't last forever. And lastly, I understood that there are times when you do everything possible to get something or to do something and it doesn't happen. Has that ever happened to you? So I paid all the money, I went to all the doctors, and the disease could not be cured. Has it ever happened to you, like you tried everything you could on a test or something, you studied so hard, for example, and it doesn't happen?
Yes.
Yeah, so you all know the feeling. Yes, what did you notice? Oh, I'm sorry, and I'm sure you worked really hard, right? Yeah. So there are times when there are things that are just out of your hands. As long as you did everything possible, there's nothing to be sad about, right? So those are sometimes what right understanding is. Okay, so now let's end it with tell me one thing. Close your eyes. Think inside of you. Tell me one thing you would do in the next month or so, or even in the next day or week, where you would like to make you happy and others happy. What can you do? Name one thing that could make you and others happy, based on your experience, based on all of your observations. What could work? Okay. Yes. Okay, open your eyes. Okay, no talking, please. Let's listen to other people. Yes. Oh boy, this is a really, really neat class. They're really, really insightful. I think you should hear this young man. Everybody listen, this is what he's going to do to make his life more happy and others happy in the near future.
I'm going to try being as generous as possible.
And tell me how you know that that's going to help you to be happy and others happy.
It makes me happy when other people are happy.
Very good. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. One more? Anybody else? I saw a hand over here. Yes, what would you like to do to make yourself and others happy?
Get out.
Listen, please, everybody.
Create a club of all of your friends, even if you don't like them, and try to like them, and try your best to, like, just be nice.
Well, that's so wonderful. But did you hear the word respect and nice, even to people you don't like?
Yep.
Form a club of friends you don't like as well? Wow, form a club with even friends that aren't very good to you, right? Yeah. How do you know that's going to bring you happiness?
Because then I have more friends if I try to,
Listen, this is important, guys.
I would have more friends if I try to gather everyone, even people that were bad to me.
Did you hear that? She said she might have even more friends. That's a win-win situation for everybody. Anybody else? Okay, so with that, I'd like you to, so what is it that you learned from me about what right understanding is? Number one, it's about something, so name one thing you learned from the talk. Yes. Nothing lasts forever. What else? Shh. We're almost done, girls. Yes? Yes, right understanding is about causes and effects. Emotions can be observed. Oh my goodness, how insightful. Emotions can be observed. You have to look at yourself to really know that, right? And that's what's a wonderful thing about the Buddha's teachings. It's a lot of self-observation, self-awareness. Yes. Everything. There's a cause and effect to everything. Yes. The Four Noble Truths. Very, very good. Yes. What is it? Yes, very good. Wait, I want her to speak really loudly to you all by the end. With that, we'll end it. So listen to her. Remember, the Buddha's teachings, right understanding, right view, is not something that teachers teach you only. Listen to her. What did she say?
What things truly are.
It's about observing how things really, really are. Not making things up, but to really observe and to see. Okay? Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu.
Yes, it does.